we spent the past couple of years in a crazy hot market. Louisville home sales decline as demand outpaces supply. Effective communication is at the core of any situation. If you master these two ideas, you'll have a chance of being successful at residential real estate marketing. I think you need to be looking for investment opportunities that move the needle. The market will never crash if demand exceeds supply. This is what I've been telling you all along.
This is the Jay Pitts Show. And we're back, folks. Welcome back to the Jay Pitts Show. I'm your host, Jay Pitts. Was a little headphone adjustment for Hannah there. It got me thinking I was being a little loud. But
tell you what, it's hot outside, but it sure is cold in here.
That's right. That's right. You've been waiting on that one. You put that one up in your head.
And speaking of being hot outside, we played golf yesterday, the hottest day of the year.
98 degrees.
Reached 99. Mark Weinberg said.
Wow. So 99 degrees. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So the heat and the golf. But Ryan played okay, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was fun.
Ryan played fun. I did not have fun. I did not play well. But it is what it is. We'll come back. This is a journey. We're on the journey, Ryan. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So
I went home. Jeremy left and went to the range. Did you know that?
That's
He went straight to the range. I had to wipe the slate clean for the day, not think about it. Everything.
You don't go to the range after golf when it's 99 degrees.
Any golf in my feed got immediately swiped out for the evening. So didn't want to think about it. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't. It is funny. Hogue sent me a text. Our fourth, and basically just kind of being encouraging, which was nice. And he said it well. It's just it's really dumb that you let a game affect you so much.
That really has no effect on
it. It has no effect on my life. Yeah. But being good at it sometimes, or getting better at it, or playing to your ability or above, becomes such a mental game with yourself. And when you and for me, I'm bad. And when it was. Yesterday I thought it was going to be much better, and I allowed myself to believe it was going to be better, and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, the first couple holes I played okay.
You did.
And then it just, wheels fell off, and I kept trying to get back on the right track, and it just never happened.
Yeah. So you kept a positive attitude.
I tried. For the most part.
15 or 16.
For the most part. All right. Well, let's move on from that.
All right. So some news. Bellarmine basketball moving back to Knights Hall this year.
I love it.
Finally.
Really love it. Did not like Freedom Hall. I will say the first game I watched in Freedom Hall was kind of cool. It was hey, we're in Freedom Hall, but it's just very cavernous. It's too big.
There's no restaurants to eat around there.
Nowhere
I enjoy
to eat.
Going to those games.
Concessions were weird.
Yeah.
Parking was bad, weird. Knights Hall is tight, but it's intimate. There are support poles in your way depending on your seat.
Shenanigans will start doing better again.
Shenanigans is right there. Super excited to hear that the Knights move back to Knights Hall.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. So, okay, move on again. So we were talking about an idea I had right before starting this podcast. So
sure.
This is going to be this, and maybe the next topic will be the only we kind of touch on the new changes. Right now we have to get these exclusive buyer agreement forms signed to show a house.
Well, it doesn't have to be exclusive.
It doesn't have to be
but
exclusive.
You have to have an agreement.
You can do one time showing agreement, but yes. So my idea is, and anybody out there can run with this because I don't have the bandwidth to do it right now, but the idea essentially, you're going to have these exclusive buyer agreements you sign with people that end up ghosting you. Mm-hmm. And maybe your agreement's 6 months, maybe it's a year. I don't know how long everybody's signing these for. It's going to be different from client to client. But there's going to be cases, and I believe there's going to be many cases where the people don't respond to you. They end up reaching out to another agent, telling that agent they have never signed an exclusive buyer agreement, and they buy a house through somebody. And it's going to be very hard for agents to track that. So this idea is basically a system where an agent pays to have the system run through public data and PVA information, and you enter the names, and it will search to see if this person's address has changed or if they're part of a new address, basically. And there's same names, and it might not be perfect, but it'll at least tell you should send a text to this person or saw what agent sold that house, and there's ways to find out if they bought a house, and that you got kind of screwed.
Yeah. So, okay. So yes, new procedure requires an agreement to be signed in order to show property. Those are not, some agents are responding by signing non-exclusive agreements to comply. Some are using one-time agency agreements that are exclusive to the property. Obviously, that's a lot easier to be able to tell whether one client bought one single home. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about cursory interactions before a relationship is built. What we're talking about is we've done the work, we've invested the time speculatively with really no promise of compensation beyond a very narrow subset, one property maybe. But we build a relationship, and then we ultimately agree mutually to sign an exclusive agreement. They exclusively buy through us. We exclusively represent them. And we're owed a commission if they buy a house. It's a legally binding bilateral contract that says, this is what I give, and this is what I get, and this is what you give, and this is what you get. So those are the people Ryan's talking about, the people that just stop returning calls. But you know that they're still interested in buying a house because you've had plenty of interactions with them. And what you don't have is a real good way to track that person when they stop responding. Now, there are ways, public record data that you can go find, but it's fairly limited to the, to the population of agents that are not, personal investigators or detectives, right?
Agents are busy, so to have
and
the
they're
time
busy.
to go search
And you're
people's
going to look
names.
online. You're going to look up people on social media and see if they've got a picture with their new house from their closing.
And in Louisville, specifically, you don't know where they're actually buying a house, so you don't know if you should go search Jefferson County PVA or Oldham County PVA.
Yeah. So I think what Ryan's talking about is this, input system where you take and you register your people that you have under exclusive agreement, and it notifies you when a new address is affiliated with that person's identity. I think you have enough information about the person to be able to do that. And really it's just for the purpose of collecting, what you're owed. I think it's interesting. I think agents would, if it was proven to be effective, I think agents would probably participate. And I can think of a lot of other potential uses for agents as well. But that's, I think an interesting concept.
Yeah.
So Ryan's not looking to get back in the startup
just
space.
been running the last couple weeks.
With
problems, as I'm
to
sure
solve.
yours has been too. We just talked about one in a meeting.
Yeah, problems to solve are kind of interesting.
I think this stuff, it's a lot of changes. We talked about that, but to me, there's a lot of opportunity. I don't know. There's a lot of opportunity. I don't see it as just a negative. I think I see more positives than negatives.
Artificial interactions, right, with a market create opportunity. This is tantamount to a black swan event in the industry of real estate. Something that would not happen, seemingly could not happen, but still happened, right? Boom. One day we get a notice. We were aware of this lawsuit. We had been advised that it was not likely to proceed. And then all of a sudden it did. Okay. And when it did, and when the news broke, everything changed, which basically means lots of opportunities exist. I mean, heck, our followers online have grown substantially as a result of our commentary on the settlement. That illustrates in and of itself, Ryan, that there is opportunity. We're taking the opportunity, we feel, to educate and to navigate for people that may not see all the angles or may not have the opportunities. But there is going to be tech, there is going to be businesses, there are going to be leaders that take advantage of the void created by this, that step into that void, fill it, and solve problems. It reminds me, I don't know who said it, but the way to become a millionaire is help a million people. The way to become a billionaire is to help a billion people, right? If you think about all the billionaires of note, the world's wealthiest people, they created things, typically businesses, that impact the lives of over 1 billion people. You couldn't say that Mark Zuckerberg has not influenced over 1 billion people. You couldn't say that. You couldn't say that Elon Musk hasn't. You couldn't say that Bill Gates hasn't. Like, you couldn't say that Warren Buffett hasn't. Like, all these people have the one thing in common. They influence a ton of people.
Yep.
And there were opportunities. There were voids that were filled by them and their actions. This industry needs that. You and I talked about this specifically. It makes it exciting.
Yeah.
It creates excitement. It creates an opportunity to excel. And if I'm being 100% fair, since 21, right, or 20, and COVID, I haven't seen another opportunity like that since then, and hadn't before then for a few years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a major shift and pivot in my business around 2012. So I went from 2008 to 2012 playing under one paradigm, and then I had to shift. And then I, operated until 2020 after that, and then had to shift. And then since now it's about time for another shift, and this is it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Speaking of billionaires, so not sure if you saw this, but the NFL, I think they've approved it where private equity can buy up to a 10% stake of an NFL team.
Okay.
And the reason is NFL franchises have gotten so expensive. There's only like 40 people in the world that can afford NFL teams now if they were to sell. So pretty interesting.
Wow. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And it is the incentive of those that own franchises for the franchises to remain able to be transacted, because that's what drives value. If you can't transact them, then where's the value? The value is just simply in the income, which is a completely different calculation.
Yeah. Podcast I listen to a lot, and I've talked about it on here, part of my take. They say if you're a billionaire and don't own a pro team, you're a weirdo. Like, the only reason to become a billionaire is so you can own a sports franchise.
Well, I heard that it's American royalty. Right. Owning a sports franchise makes you American royalty. Like, it's the closest thing we have, right, to the monarchies of Western Europe is just it's these people that own these teams that we blindly follow and pledge allegiance to. And I mean, it's interesting to think about. Right. But I mean, frankly, I don't know, the ones I'm aware of, I'm not a huge fan of. Mark Cuban is kind of the one that comes to mind. The guy just, I don't know, he doesn't do it for me anymore.
No.
I got an interesting thing. You mind if I jump in right here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Unusual Whales, great follow on Twitter, by the way. They do have a subscription service that you can follow through Twitter, but I just follow them on their free stuff. 2 hours ago, tweeted, nearly half of all real estate investors, 42%. say that they have lost north of $200,000 on a single investment, with 45% of those, or roughly 25% of the total, admitting that a bad investment almost ruined them financially. 40% also say they wish they had never started investing in real estate in the first place. This is per Clever Real Estate. Clever is a industry participant. They're like one of these listing referral services, like discount listing referral services, where they basically get people to sign up and they match you with agents for a discounted listing fee. Gotcha. So not sure if any of that's accurate, but I can say that couldn't be further from the truth that has been my career. I don't know any real estate investor that feels that way, right? I know some real estate investors that are frustrated, but not anybody that has lost $200,000 for sure, and certainly wouldn't think anywhere near 40% would say that they wish they never did it.
Maybe they're just saying that so other people don't start investing in real estate.
I mean, Unusual Whales, this could be Clever. This is Unusual Whales reporting the thing from Clever. But yeah, Unusual Whales talks about the markets, stocks and securities, and they talk about crypto and politics and a whole bunch of other stuff. But found that quite interesting. That was on top of my feed when I logged in this morning.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. Speaking of, I guess, reports, we'll move on to this one circulating. I saw it everywhere on Facebook. Every news outlet here was reporting it. Louisville real estate market, one of the worst in U.S. according to new study. Yeah. Several factors were used in these calculations. I'll just read the article, jump in when you want.
Okay.
So it starts out, the Louisville real estate market is one of the worst in the United States this year, according to a new study. Wallet Hub analyzed 300 cities in the country, and Louisville ranks near the bottom in several categories. Overall, the study ranked the Derby City number 263 out of 300 and number 60 among large cities. It's the ninth worst among large cities, according to the study. Current home prices are extremely important, but there's much more that you need to look at when determining the health of the city's market. Here's how the study ranked the Louisville market in several categories. Share of seriously underwater mortgages. They were 277 out of 300. Median days on the market, 39. Median home prices, appreciation, 225. Job growth rate, 288 out of 300. Foreclosure rate, 230 out of 300. Percentage of delinquent mortgage holders, 237 out of 300. Home price as a percentage of income, 57 out of 300. So that's not that bad.
Pretty high.
And then maintenance cost as percentage of income, 199 out of 300.
Okay, so read me the criterion again. Not the action, not where we fall, but read the criteria. I think that's where this.
So go back through where they ranked us in certain categories.
Yeah, don't give the ranks. Just tell me the categories.
Okay. Share of seriously underwater mortgages. I don't know what that means. What qualifies as serious?
Yeah. So before you move on, seriously underwater mortgages would be what they perceive value compared to mortgage balance. Okay. Find it very hard to believe. Okay. That one that we ranked poorly, being the fact that we're a slow and steady appreciating market. People are financed by and large at low interest rates, holding over from 2020, 2021, and 2022, at least the first half of 22. Find it very, very hard to believe. Also wondering where they're getting their value numbers. So I don't have facts to dispute this because I don't know where they come from. But that one concerns me. Move on. What's the next one?
Median days on market.
39
We're
is
39 out of 300.
39 out of 300. Again, not bad. Okay, so we're near the top of the 300. We're in, the top, like 5% of that.
Yep.
So go ahead.
Median home price appreciation.
Okay, so and where are we
225.
at? 225. So slow appreciation. That's what makes our market healthy. Okay, homes haven't appreciated out of what is reasonable, leaving people paying prices that keeps them from being able to sell in the future.
When I see that one, though, is a low price appreciation rank you high on the list, or does a high appreciation rank you low on the list?
I mean, I think they would argue in this case that a high appreciation is better because homeowners would want their properties to go up. I think that prevents transactions. So I see where you're coming from. What are they angling for? Anyway, I find that one to be problematic as well.
Yeah. Job growth rate 288.
Okay, so this I believe that we're not creating a lot of jobs. I think that's by and large because our cost of living is low, which is not accounted for anywhere in this study, and people are staying put. We have a relatively stable job market. We don't have a lot of unemployment. Okay, so we don't have people hurting because they can't find work. So growth, I think unemployment would be a much better criteria for this particular. People are employed, they're working, they're making wages commensurate with cost of living relative to other big cities.
Yep. Next one, foreclosure rate 230. We've already kind of touched on that.
Well, foreclosure rate's tough. And I will say Louisville has always had an issue with foreclosures. A lot of times they're located in isolated areas, like specific parts of the city where the rates are substantially higher than other parts. So I'm not saying we don't have issues there, but those areas have little impact on other areas where the predominant number of transactions are occurring.
Yep. Next one, percentage of delinquent mortgage holders.
This I could probably buy. If people are behind on their mortgage, you know, where do we fall?
237.
So 237, that's pretty rough. I would guess that they're in those same areas that are seeing high rates of foreclosure, but generally speaking, the market itself, there's not a lot of foreclosures that we see.
Yep.
We don't see them coming to market.
Home price as a percentage of income, 57.
So pretty good.
Yep.
Out of 57 out of 300, that shows the affordability that I was talking about. And why we're not creating higher paid jobs, because people are making it by and large in their existing jobs and receiving, raises, promotions, things that keep them where they're at.
Yep. And
So there you go.
last one, maintenance costs as a percentage of income, 199.
That I don't like. I have felt often that our contractor set, our home improvement people, our plumbers, our electricians, and their rates, specifically the higher skilled trades, are quite similar to that of more expensive markets.
Yeah.
It's hard to renovate a house here, okay, because of this. So yeah, I think, but it is what it is.
Is that a cause of supply and demand, though?
I yes, and I'd be curious to know the impact of large service providers that control significant segments of the market. I'm sure it is the case that you have these massive plumbers, residential plumbing and residential electrician or electrical and residential HVAC companies that are very streamlined and efficient and are really good sized businesses for the market that we're in. I'm sure that happens elsewhere, but it seems a little outsized in Louisville.
Yeah.
Right. And so we all know, I won't say names, but the joke in real estate is, well, what plumber did you call? Did you call the one plumber, with all the commercials and the jingles and all that? Well, of course the bid's high.
Yeah.
Okay. How about we get a one truck, master plumber, that we know that is our neighbor to go look at it. They're going to make good money, but you're going to get, an equivalent value, and it's not going to be the 99th percentile of prices.
Right. And that's why your real estate professional is so important. They can refer you to those kind of people.
Exactly. I mean, so back to the old adage, in my career and certainly this show, when selecting a contractor, you evaluate them are they good, are they cheap, and are they reliable, and you pick your two, because you don't get three. Good, cheap, and reliable don't happen in one package. If you want good and reliable, you're going to pay for it. If you want good and cheap, then they may not be there for 2 weeks. Right. They may not finish the job on the first trip. Right. If you want, cheap and reliable, well, the work might not be that great.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And then last thing on here, it says a big factor in Wallet Hub's rankings was how many newer homes have been built in the city. For example, so McKinney and Frisco, Texas were the highest on this list.
I can buy that.
And it said 35% of McKinney homes were built between 2010 and 2021.
So that makes it bad?
That's good.
That's a good thing. So they were the best markets.
Yes. More new constructions is better.
Well, I think maintenance cost, that is a signal of a supply and demand disparity, right? Because new construction are 25% higher priced than an equivalent existing home. If you take a 2,000 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage home, brick face, vinyl on 3 sides, and you sell it new, compared to the same exact property that's 10 years old, the new one is 20% more.
Yeah.
Okay. So why would people pay 20% more? They'd pay 20% more because they have to. They would also pay 20% more to avoid maintenance costs, potential maintenance costs. Okay. So say that knocks away 10% of the difference. You're still paying a 10% premium to buy new. Why would you do that? Well, you do it because you have to. Some people like new construction. That's fine. Some people like new. Some people don't like living in a house that somebody else has lived in before. But, it's not hard to find the value in the cheaper price if you're not just the new construction person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the fundamentals of this particular study are a little all over the place.
Yeah, but boy, do people run with it like they always do.
Well, I mean, they're selling clicks, right?
Yeah.
They're selling clicks and page views. So like they piss off the people of Louisville and guarantee every one of them reads it and shares it. And they all the realtors in McKinney, Texas have shared this article as well because it's the #1 market in the country.
Right. Okay, so moving on, at your Resource Live event a couple weeks ago, Jason Pantana showed what the capabilities of ChatGPT and how it can run through MLS data. So I've done that.
Okay.
I have a YouTube video coming out with the data I ran.
Okay.
So I wanted to find out the 10 most expensive subdivisions in Elizabethtown to buy.
Say that again?
The 10 most expensive subdivisions in Elizabethtown
Okay.
by average price. So it's still kind of finicky. You got to mess around. I took his prompt and put it in there and had to change a few things here and there. And it spit out the 10 subdivisions that are the most expensive in a table for me.
Okay.
And the average, I got the average sales price, the highest price, the lowest price. And then in order to qualify for this table, there had to at least be 3 home sales in the subdivision for January 1st, 2024 to now. And, you know, I'm looking through this list. I'm like, there's no way this list is 100% accurate. But with the MLS data, it is. So, you know, there's definitely more expensive subdivisions in E-Town that were on this list, but there are a lot of new construction homes and the data's not in the MLS.
Yeah.
There's other really expensive subdivisions where people just don't want to move from, so there weren't 3 sales.
Yeah.
So the tenant gave me, you know, I've explained it in the video. These are none of them are really that expensive. There was the #1 of the list was $1 million average sales price, but it's because one home sold for $2.2 million in the subdivision. And
it's not hard to skew.
The lowest,
not hard to skew an average.
The lowest was $550,000 in that subdivision. So, I mean, there is something there, but
that is one thing that E-Town certainly has is a disparity within a luxury neighborhood, a disparity in price.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty substantial. You can have very easily a $500,000 house next to a $2 million house.
Yeah, like Cali Crossing was like 8 or 7 on the list in E-Town.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. For somebody that knows E-Town, I saw this list and I was like,
no way.
I mean, not really, but MLS data-wise, yes.
So what if you did it by PVA assessed value instead? How would you pull that data though? Your PVA won't spit out.
Yeah.
Your PVA won't spit out a CSV file for you to use, will it?
I
wonder if it would.
I don't know.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Because then you could get.
Maybe I'll try that next.
Maybe worth doing, seeing if it's possible. I mean, I don't know if you could rank sales by, or rank property values. You know, if you could find a way to run a CSV where you had only residential properties and assessed values, and then get them in the sheet or in the Excel sheet, and then filter by the assessed values to bring those at the top in descending order, and then loaded that would be kind of cool.
It would be cool. Maybe I'll see if PVA allows that.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Good stuff though, man. I really did enjoy Jason's talk, and I love the fact that people are taking notice of what you can do with ChatGPT.
Yeah. I want to hit on one thing real quick so I don't forget. I just remembered it. Did you see that tweet I sent you about buy light at night?
Buying light? Yes. What random?
Yeah.
So help me understand this.
Okay.
They're essentially you go on an app, you pay, and then it sends a signal to this reflective.
Yeah. So I'll read this. A company that is selling sunlight at night that can be purchased from your phone is going viral across the internet. Reflect Orbital has developed an app where you can order sunlight reflected from a satellite direct to your location from a cell phone so that you can have personal access to the sun's light at night. There's a simulated video of how it'll work, so they haven't released it yet. But I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I was thinking of all the funny things I could do with it. I told my buddy that he's single still and goes out a lot, and I have 5 of my friends with some close buddies just from college still. I was like, I'm just going to shine light on you when you're at the bar, dude. Let you know I'm watching you.
That's pretty hilarious. So you could pick up his location and
see,
you could
I don't
just
know
put
about
in
it.
his...
It probably has to be within a radius of your phone, I would guess.
That's pretty funny.
But you could be a real estate agent at night showing a house and you can't see something in the winter, outside and hey, let me order a little light right here so we can take a look.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I thought it was really cool. So it's a reflective satellite.
Yep.
That essentially, but like, how bright is it really?
I don't know.
Like the picture looked kind of interesting.
Be sick like a NFL stadium doesn't have
Doesn't have lights.
and they just
Would be kind of sick if you could like play golf at night.
I thought about that too.
Play golf at night because you got sunlight. I
Yeah.
mean, it can't. I
Can't
bet
be
it's,
that much.
It can't be enough, man. It's got. You know what? It's got to be like. It's got to be like a. You can see a spotlight in the sky. It's not going to light anything up, right? Really,
And
really
how much
funny,
would it
though.
cost?
How did they get this thing in orbit? Like, how do you do that? How does a private company just all of a sudden decide to send a satellite into orbit?
I don't know, but I'm gonna try it once.
Like, I mean, serious business. Don't you have to like register with the FAA and all that? Like, how do you get permission?
I don't know. We have all kinds of satellites up there. It's a minefield up there.
Well, I understand that, but like
So it can't
NASA
be
doesn't
that
want
hard.
you. NASA doesn't want you interfering with their satellites by shooting
Speaking
yours
of,
into
there's
the air.
2 astronauts stuck in space right
I
now.
know. Oh my god.
I haven't really seen the story other than I guess they're going to get them next year, maybe. Can they get them food and water?
I have no idea. Are they starving to death? Are they, I mean, that's the I suppose, I don't know. That just seems like the worst way to die.
Oh,
Stuck in space. Like,
I
have you
could
ever
think
seen
of worse,
You ever
but-
seen that Matt Damon movie where he's stuck in space and like nobody knows he's there or whatever, and he has to like grow food.
yeah. I have
Like-
seen that. It's a good movie.
That's pretty wild.
Can't remember the name of it.
Gives
but
me anxiety just thinking about it. But
Would you rather be stuck in space like those people are, or stuck in a submarine?
oh, dude, I would not set foot in a submarine. Number one, I am claustrophobic, and it will not happen.
Yeah.
It will
I
not.
mean, a space shuttle is pretty claustrophobic. Too.
Absolutely, I wouldn't go space.
But at least you can see out at things, and I guess in the bottom of the ocean,
Dude,
it's just dark.
that like private shuttle that like blew up or whatever, like you could not pay me enough.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting story.
Okay, moving on from random things we're talking about. So this was last week, I believe. Fed Chair Powell says it's time for rates to drop. Saw a lot of people saying they thought this was already baked into the mortgage rates, but do you think with interest rates dropping, mortgage rates will drop again?
I mean, I think we're going to see a continued trickle down. I mean, we've been calling for it for a long time. We knew the Fed couldn't raise rates forever. We knew they couldn't keep them where they are forever as the economy started to stagnate. So it's this constant. We're going to be in a state of constant flux because, we've minted 80% of all dollars in circulation since 2020.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is uncharted territory. I think generally speaking, the Fed has done a decent job of kind of balancing the inevitable, without trying to pick winners and losers, which is, I think, probably something that is really challenging for them. Certain industries are certainly in favor versus others, but like the real estate industry has not been terrible, and it could have been, right? They could have jacked up rates even higher, even faster, right, to curtail demand and really, really put more of a damper on. Now, I know if somebody's hearing this, they say, Jay, they doubled in 3 months. Yeah, but they doubled from 3%, right? So they went from 3 to 6. Yeah. By and large, it's been pretty modest and moderate since then.
You think it's time to cut rates?
I think it's probably time to cut rates. We're starting to see a little more, but it's going to have to be very slow and measured.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're turning the Titanic. We're trying to engineer a soft landing. It's not time to declare victory. I don't know that there will ever be victory, man. I'm just the stat that 4 out of every $5 has been minted in the last 5 years is crazy to me. It's just absolutely crazy. I know no one is out there that can collect on our debt. Okay. I know it's in the interest of all the major world superpowers for the United States to remain the gold standard of economies. I know ours is in better shape than pretty much any economy around the world. at least anyone, none of them are even close to the size of ours, but first world nations, right? First world nations, our economy's better. Inflation is higher here, and prices of basic goods are higher here than they are, I think, almost anywhere else. And that's becoming obvious. But I don't know what else you can do. That's the price of keeping this thing afloat.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we'll ever be Venezuela, right? But you know, you may have to spend $8 on a dozen eggs. I mean, you just might.
Oh, unless you go to a farmer's market.
Unless you go to farmers markets,
Get them for like $4 or $5.
Or you buy the like super cheap, like $1.99 ones that you're worried are going to poison you.
Yeah, probably will poison you. All right, this is the last thing I have. The job report revision came out. I know you saw this.
Oh yeah.
Jobs report revision. U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than believed.
Yeah. Which is interesting to me that it's even a news story, Ryan. And I said this to you because they announce a revision or a retraction and revision every single month. Okay, and it has been a downward adjustment every single month of this year.
And that one was somewhere around like a 23% revision.
I don't put. I mean, I think it's the largest downward revision of the year, which is probably why it's.
Well, it's the largest in 15 years.
Yeah, it's probably gathering a lot of steam and virality in being shared as a story because of that. But I don't believe jobs reports. I don't believe anything.
Yeah. So the reason this revision was based on the quarterly census of employment and wages, which draws from state unemployment insurance records that reflect actual payrolls, while the prior estimates come from monthly surveys. The estimate is preliminary, however, and a final figure will be released early next year.
I mean, it's embarrassing, right? We manufacture news, we spread it, we accept it, we change it at will, and there's no consequence.
Yeah.
I mean, the markets move because of this data, right? People vote the way that they vote because of things that they hear like this. And there is absolutely no guarantee, right, that there's any accuracy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie The Big Short, right? Which is something that I was very keenly aware of because I was in the industry at the time that the mortgage crisis happened, where they go to see Standard & Poor's and Moody's, the ratings agencies, on these mortgage-backed securities, and they're essentially they admit, right, that the ratings mean nothing because they are compensated by the companies that they're rating. Like it makes zero sense. You know, and this is proliferated our entire economy and government. I mean, it's just, how does one find a way to have a decent strategy to win in this economy? I don't know. I mean, the same things that
Own
have always.
assets.
What's that?
Own assets.
Own assets. That's a pretty good one. But how do you know you're not overpaying? I don't know. I guess they just go up in infinitum. But owning assets is a good thing. And you know, that's one thing that my wife and I have begun to discuss is the fact that we always thought we would help our kids invest in real estate. And we would invest in real estate to the point where we would, you know, then ultimately divvy up some of our investments for our children. What we begin to discuss of late is that how basic home ownership in 20 years may be a foreign concept to most young Americans.
Yep.
And should we now start investing in more expensive real estate in areas that would be potentially desirable for them to live in 20 years so that we have a first home available for them that they could live in, or they could sell, or they could continue to operate as an investment, right? And give them a start on their adult life because, again, at the rate things are going, you know, it's going to be more and more difficult for young people to be homeowners.
Absolutely.
And so, do I buy a $500,000 house in in Lake Forest, right where we live, that is expensive, but is the entry level price point for the neighborhood, and do the best I can, even take on losses potentially of cash flow for a while just to make it possible. What would that be worth in 20 years? Could be a really good investment. Could be. But
I just saw this thing right here. So Louisville students section has sold out tickets for the first time in a decade.
Wow.
For basketball.
Okay. Kelsey's working the student population.
He is. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm excited about basketball season, man. Of course, we have football starting this Saturday.
So
not going to make the game. It's Austin P.
Let's see what the temperature is. Is it going to cool down for Saturday?
No, I don't think so. I think it's still going to be hot Saturday.
But Saturday, high of 82.
High of 82 Saturday.
But and the 3 previous days, today, Thursday, and Friday, 96.
Yeah, pretty cool. Oh, yeah, Saturday, I've got an 83 high. 87 on Sunday, and then in the 70s back. 70s.
Are you on this too?
Yeah, absolutely.
How does it have something different?
I don't know.
Do you have a 50% chance of rain?
It does not show. 55%.
What the same app sitting right beside each other.
Anyway, so I will say, we talked about our predictions for win totals in our last show. Where did you go? Did you go 11?
I did 11.
And I went 10. So I'm one behind you again. Last year I went 9. You went 10. You were correct. I was not. I think I'm more realistic this year. 10 is more realistic. 11's a lot.
I know 10 was a lot last year until we lost our last 3 games. It is what it is.
It is. I'm excited about both basketball and football for the first time in a long time. So I'm happy to have something to be excited about.
You got any funny stories from your kids over the last couple of weeks, or?
I got shot in the eye with a dart last night.
Sick.
Like a Nerf dart, one of the little foam darts with like a little rubber tip.
Which one? Who shot that?
Of course, Colton. Yeah. So I was just kidding. I picked the thing up and I was like pointing it at him. Like we say never in the face, so I'm pointing it at like his stomach. I was like, get upstairs and get ready for bed. I'm like shooing him. He starts walking that direction. I set the thing down and turn my back, and he sneaks over and grabs it. I turn around. I didn't even have time to look at him. And I swear it hit me in the eyeball before I had a chance to close my eye. And it dropped me. I mean, I went to a knee.
What'd you say to him?
I didn't say anything at first because I was literally, I had a blind spot for a second.
Are you good now?
Oh, I'm fine now. But literally for a second, I thought I was legitimately hurt. I had like a circular blind spot on the inside of my left eye where I couldn't see any of the middle part of my vision. It was just gone. And my eye was watering. I mean, I did not have time to close my eye. And he of course was screaming, crying, saying he was sorry. But yeah, he's a hot mess, bro. He's playing baseball. He's supposed to have already had his first game, but the Heat, they keep canceling because they don't want 5-year-olds out there, which he's 4 playing up in a 5 and 6 league.
He's probably taller than all of them.
He's the biggest kid on his team.
Yeah.
And there are 6-year-olds.
My son gets his first haircut today.
Okay.
Yeah,
boy's got some lettuce. He's got some long hair.
Trimming it a little bit. I think it's getting in his eyes.
Is he going to sit still, you think?
I'm going to hold him.
You're going to hold him.
Yeah.
I was curious. I held hands. We let him sit by himself. Colton had super long hair before we cut his.
How old was he when he got his?
I would say he was probably 2.
Okay, so Rowan is almost 13 months.
Yeah.
But it's just so long that it's getting in his eyes. Just needs to get cut a little bit.
Colton, luckily, his kind of swept to the side and kind of fell kind of nice so that it didn't get in his face.
So no, my 1-year-old will not sit still for the haircut.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking he was a little older than that, but yeah, 13 months is about right. I mean, that seems we're just talking about how he was a year old. So
yeah, man, it's crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun, Ryan.
That's right.
So just like this show, look at that transition. Just like this show, we're past our time for today. Appreciate you guys for joining in. As always, check us out on all the socials at JPitts Realtor, at ryanharris.re. Follow us anywhere you podcast, specifically Spotify and Apple. Certainly can find us there and pretty much everywhere you podcast, I'm sure, as well. But until next week, we're done here for the JPitts Show. Ryan, we'll see you soon.
Peace.